everybody, Shannon here with Destination Jackpot, where we teach you how to turn your spins into sweeps, your perks into planes, and your credit into cash. Don't forget to join our Facebook private group. That's where you get all the behind the scenes and the up-to-date information that we don't put out everywhere else, as long as our membership on YouTube. We do special things for our members there as well. I'm so excited today that we get to go behind the scenes with Anthony Curtis, and he is the founder of the Huntington Press.
Correct, you got it.
Yeah, I got it. And the also a pro blackjack player. That's a big deal
in the old days.
In the old days, but
Yeah.
you don't ever lose that, right?
Well, you don't lose the reputation, but you lose the ability to do it. They don't let me play anymore. So.
Oh, they don't. Yeah.
No, but I had my time. Yeah.
Yeah, but he did that, and he did it very well. And you've written books on it.
Yeah.
To teach other people. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But what is even more impressive is he has helped thousands and thousands of people over the years save money and learn how to work the casino comps. And he founded the Las Vegas couponing book, the famous Las Vegas couponing book. So we're going to talk about that and tell you how to get it. It's still alive and well today. So I can't wait to hear all the good nuggets that you're going to share with us. How long have you been in Vegas?
Man, I've been in Vegas longer than you've been alive. Almost.
Probably right.
A long time.
That's a long time because I'm getting old.
I came here in '79.
Okay,
so,
I was born in '71. So.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's like I knew it was pretty close. I've been here a long time, over 40 years.
Wow.
I came here as soon as I turned 21.
What brought you here? The gambling?
Came to play, yeah.
Came to play,
yeah. I was from the time I was about in 11th grade in Dearborn, Michigan. I was reading blackjack books. Somebody gave me a book on blackjack. I was a game player.
Way back then, there were books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Some of the best, probably.
Some of the best, yeah. Beat the Dealer, Ed Thorpe, Stanford Wong's Professional Blackjack, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so I'm a junior in high school, and I started reading this stuff, and I go to college. I go to Duke, and later UCLA, and I'm hardly caring about my classes. I'm reading about blackjack and all. And I was a wrestler in Michigan, and I was a wrestler in college. I had some scholarships to those places, and you can see I was getting closer and closer to Vegas. And as soon as I turned 21, I dropped out of school, and I came here.
And started playing.
Yeah, I started playing. I mean, I played by myself. Then I met others who were here to do the same thing.
So could you back then make a living at blackjack?
Not right away. I mean, when I first came, I got my comeuppance, and I got taught some lessons by variance, as they say, things that can happen in the game, and I didn't really know how to bet properly based on the amount of money I had. But those are things you work out as you go.
Yeah.
And you really, in order to make it really work, you have to hook up often. You have to get on teams. You've heard of the blackjack teams. So once I got together with some other really good players, things started to come together, and I was making a living in my 20s.
So now we play a lot of slots, but blackjack is my game.
All right.
I've never learned it well, certainly not like you. Can't count cards or those kind of things, but I love it. It's my favorite game out there.
Yeah.
Haven't figured the comps out, but we're going to talk about that a little bit too. So talk to us about the Las Vegas Advisor. How did that get started, and what is it?
Yeah, well, the Las Vegas Advisor is, our publishing company is Huntington Press.
Right.
And we certainly, I used to say this humbly, and now I'm not so humble about it anymore. We certainly do the best gambling books in the world. We're the biggest publisher of gambling books. And these are unbeatable games. Games like blackjack, video poker, sports betting, race betting. These are the 5 beatable games, and that's the kind of books that we do. But we also, for years and years and years, we've had the Las Vegas Advisor, which is almost more like a club than anything else. And we call our subscribers members and everything else, because when you join the Las Vegas Advisor, you get the newsletter that we do every month and all the stuff on our website, but you also get the coupon book here.
Which is filled, let me tell you, their newsletter is filled with great nuggets from amazing writers.
Yeah, we work real hard.
Gene Scott for years and years.
Gene Scott, Bob Dancer, various others contribute. Dee Castleman for years has been our senior editor, and he's, a great contributor to the newsletter and to all the information on the website. But to be honest, everyone buys it. Not everyone, but most people buy it because of this coupon book.
Yeah, they do buy it for the coupon book, and I suggest that you do as well because there's some great things.
Oh, it's amazing.
Highlight a few things that are in this book.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to overlook the newsletter because it's important.
Well, we try to. I always say, what if we don't do the newsletter anymore? And enough people go, no, the newsletter's part of it. You have to do it. But I mean, the book, it's $50 for a year's membership.
It's just so cheap, and you save that.
Well, there's several coupons in there that are worth more than $50, and one of them, the most obvious, is the 2-for-1 for the Palms buffet, and that includes their lobster buffet, which is $80.
Wow!
So you go with two people, and you're going to save $80 for a $50 buy.
Right.
We got things in here where they forgive the resort fees. One place downtown Grand for 5 days at the Rio, as long as you want to stay. Various gambling coupons and free play and so forth. 2-for-1s in lots of restaurants and things. So we've been doing this for years. We monitor everything else that's out there. Nobody has a better book than us.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And how many years has it been here? Have you had it?
The coupon book. Las Vegas Advisor has been going in some shape or form since the mid 80s.
Wow.
So, I mean, different incarnations of it.
Yeah.
But really seriously, when I stopped gambling for a living and I started publishing for a living, that was in the early 90s.
Okay.
So, 30 some years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So pick up this book. It's really the biggest nugget. And everybody who knows Vegas knows about the Las Vegas Advisor, the coupon book, and Anthony. I mean, you're really a legend in Vegas.
Well, I wish everybody knew, because then we'd be doing even more business. But
well, I think you're doing.
It's interesting. We've only got, I say only, but maybe around 15,000 subscribers.
That's a lot.
It sounds like a lot. It does, but I mean, for the value of it, it should be 115,000. So that's something people kind of don't believe it. They go, no, it can't be that good.
But it is.
It is.
It is. It is. And I'll show you, flip through the book and show you some things later in this video. So check that out. Do you have any tips for us in working comps and casino perks? Because it's getting harder. It
is getting harder. And, the obvious ones are, the obvious one is you play with your card.
Always.
So many people don't think that card in any way affects you negatively.
Right.
I mean, the rules in Las Vegas when it comes to comps is everything, when it comes to junk mail, it's the opposite. Where you say, don't sign up on lists because you'll get junk mail. Don't do this because you'll get jury duty. Don't do this because you'll get, whatever. In Vegas, it's the exact opposite. You want to sign up for everything because you never know, especially when they go through cyclical good times, bad times. The casinos will go farther and deeper into their lists and start sending you things out of the blue. So that's really the key thing. Then there's all kinds of little tricks here and there. Sort of like if you're a player to some degree and you go to a new casino, you want to make your big play on your first play. You want them to see, you don't want to come in there and say, okay, I'm going to get a card and I'm going to play through $100. You want to get a card and give them $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 worth of action if you're that kind of player. I'm not saying do it if you don't play that level.
Right.
But those who play that level, you want to do that. And that is going to generate comps for you in the beginning. And if you are a bigger player, you want to investigate getting a host who's going to help you with these sorts of things.
And how do you do that if you're a bigger player? So let's just say I go over to Fontainebleau.
Mm-hmm.
I've not been there. We're going to do that on this trip. And I want to sign up for their card, play is the biggest, what I would normally play as a player. And then if I wanted to talk to somebody about a host, you just walk up there and ask them?
Yeah, you just ask, you ask anybody in there, who do I talk to about, where would I find a host? Where's your VIP services? Who do I talk to? I don't have a host here. Do it that way.
Right.
I don't have a host here. Who should I talk to? And then just tell them your level of play and say, I'm trying, I want to explore this and tell me how it works and what I need to do. And they'll be happy to tell you because they're salesmen.
Right. That's
and
right.
women. That's what they are. They're
and that's how they get paid.
They're in the sales business
That's
and
right.
They want to groom you. Now, again, the last thing I would ever tell anybody is start playing amounts that you would never play because you want to get comp. Don't do that.
No.
Stay with the low-level comps. You're going to get something off of what you get on your card.
Right.
And you certainly want to sign up with the card, to get a card in as many places as possible because they all have some sort of beginner's
spot.
starter, bonus for you.
Right.
So you want to do it from there, and then you want to see where it goes and see what happens with your mail. Make sure you give them an email. Make sure you give them a good physical mail, and you're going to get more and more offers these days through email. And monitor your offers and use the good ones.
Read them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake I see people make is they don't read those offers that come through.
You never know what's buried down there. You never know what nugget somebody needs to fill their rooms.
That's
the
right.
Rio is a perfect example.
It is.
Where you want to sign up there. They've got 3,000 plus rooms to fill. And if you're a person who's visiting, you're going to probably get some good room offers.
And the Rio's really trying to come out of a stigma that they had from that whole Caesars situation.
Well,
and we've not been there. We may have to do that this trip.
Yeah, Caesars wrecked it.
Yeah,
they
did.
I don't mind
They
saying
did.
this. Rio was one of the great independent casino hotels in Vegas. When they opened, most people don't realize this. The flipping of the switch in Las Vegas was, 1989 when Steve Wynn opened the Mirage. Mm-hmm. And 1 year later, the next one to open was the Rio. It's been that long.
Wow.
And the Rio was every bit as good as the Mirage. This was Tony Marnell, whereas you had Steve Wynn at the Mirage, you had Tony Marnell, big developer here of casinos, was behind the Rio. And it was an amazing place. And then, things progressed. Marnell moved on, sold it, Harris, which became Caesars, and Caesars ran it to the ground.
Yeah,
and
they did.
Now you got a new independent group out of New York, and they're doing everything they can to build it up again. And I'm a fan of the Rio.
Yeah, and they've partnered now with Hyatt.
Yes.
As well, which I think is going to be a great thing.
They keep making moves. I'm going over there today. They're opening a baccarat room.
Okay.
And they're having the ribbon cutting for the baccarat room. And they just keep doing one thing after another. You can tell by looking at the outside. Used to be a whole bunch of burnout lights, and now it's like a light show out there.
Yeah.
It's cool if you watch it.
Yeah, I wish they'd bring the circus thing back. I used to love to go over there. That was one of my favorite things. And their rooftop is unparalleled to anything here.
Yeah,
I think it's got the best downtown view.
There's a voodoo lounge up there.
Yeah.
You're talking about the masquerade parade.
Yes, the masquerade parade. Yeah,
it was people would go around and throw beads and all that kind of
Yes.
business. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Back in the day, we would always go over there and do the masquerade parade, and then we'd go up to the voodoo lounge, and that's just a beautiful view. Do you think that's one of the most?
It is that and Ghost Bar. Ghost Bar
I've
at the
not been to
Palms.
Ghost Bar. I've never been to the Palms.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Really? Palms.
Never.
Great place. Very good place, especially now that the Palms is not owned by Station Casino.
Okay.
So Station Casino didn't do anything, noteworthy with the Palms. They didn't run it to the ground, but they didn't do anything that was great. Now it's owned by Yamava Indian. San Manuel Indian tribe,
Okay.
which has Yamava Casino in California.
Yes.
And they're doing all kinds of things there.
Interesting.
So both of them. So those are the two places, Voodoo Lounge and Ghost Bar.
Ghost
That's where you
Bar.
get your amazing views of the rest of Vegas for sure.
Okay, so go check those out. There's some good nuggets. So we're always trying to show those hidden gems and find those things on our channel that people don't talk about or that you overlook, as well as teaching comps and perks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we really, I love to work Caesars and MGM, although I don't believe they're the best casinos because they are so corporate. But if you're trying to travel like we do to go to different places, that's a great thing. But if you're just trying to come to Vegas, there's so many great programs here that you can work and get more value for your money than you can with Caesars or MGM, I think.
That's kind of a key thing, too. When you talk about how you maximize comps, you kind of got to pick out one or two places and give them your action.
Be loyal.
Because if you spread it too much around, you're not going to have enough anywhere.
That's right.
And you'll get some small perks and things. Like I say, you should still join their clubs,
Yes.
but save your big action for one or two places.
Yeah, because you're gonna find which one will hit that be the best for you.
Yeah, and then you gravitate toward them. I've got a friend who comes out once or twice a year from Detroit, and he has Boyd Group has been very good to him.
I've heard Boyd's very good.
If you get in with them, they can be very good.
So
for
what are
getting
some
rooms and
casinos
things.
with Boyd?
Well, there's a lot of downtown casinos like Fremont, Main Street Station, California. These are Boyd casinos off the Strip here, the Gold Coast, the Orleans. So you've got a lot of choices with Boyd.
Boyd, okay.
And there you want to, if you're a player of any degree, there you want to get a host. They have hosts at these places, the smaller ones as well.
Right.
And the good thing about the host is the host will tell you what you need to do.
Yes.
You go, what am I going to get? They go, well, I need this much more action to give you dinner or to give you X amount off your room or to give you a free room and, that kind of thing. And then you make a decision. You make an adult decision. Do you want to play for that or not?
Right. And you're not going to get a host, as we always say, when you're just starting out to play. I mean, you can always talk to a host. Anybody can talk to a host. and ask them the questions. What does my ADT need to be? We've done videos on that, so you can go back and watch those. But they'll help you understand what you need to do to get a host. We know, because if we're 7 stars at Caesars, that we can go to another property and probably get a host.
Yeah.
That way.
Well, see, that's something you can flash around.
Yes.
And that's when you talk about tier matching and all this kind of stuff. And when you've made it big at one of the places, you just go in and say, I'm 7 stars here.
Right.
I don't have a host with you. I'm thinking about where do we go from here?
Yeah. Okay. So those are some great tips there for you. So you've seen Vegas evolve through the decades. What's your take on how it's changed, especially since post-COVID? And is it easier or harder now to find value? I know during COVID it was easy to find some value.
Yeah, a lot of people say, the old days were better. And the old days were cheaper, but relatively not that much cheaper. You know what I mean? The value of the dollar is, declined, and, inflation does what it does. So prices go up. And you look now and you go, well, the best steak dinner you're going to find in town for the value is Ellis Island for $9.99. It's a whole steak dinner. Well, you used to get it for $2, right? Or that same dinner at Ellis Island was $2.50 at one point, and then went to $4, and now it's gone up and up. Now it's $12.99. But if you play $5 through a slot machine, it's $9.99.
Right.
That kind of thing. So the deals are still out there, and I always surprise people. They go, "It's not as good as it used to be," right? And I go, "Well, in a way, it's better."
Yeah.
Because there's so much choice, but it's not better on the Strip. It's just gotten so bad with the gouging and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously resort fees, obviously paid parking. The games are getting worse in terms of schedules.
So much worse.
000 roulette, 6 to 5 blackjack.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, it's not getting better. But in terms of the competition level, and if you're willing to go off the Strip, go downtown, go to Boulder Highway, go to North Las Vegas, go to all these different things, you're going to find values that are very similar to what they used to be. So I always go, I like it better now. Because on the high end, you've got some of the greatest restaurants in the world.
You do.
On the entertainment side, you've just got some of the greatest shows.
We went and saw Sammy Hagar last night.
Oh, man.
That was awesome.
That would be great. He put on a good show.
He did. He really did.
What is that, the Strat?
No, it's at MGM, at Park MGM.
Oh, okay.
The Dolby Theater there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great theater.
Yeah. He's been doing things. He's been doing things at the Strat. He's been doing things at the Palms.
Yeah.
Like by the pool, Sammy's Poolside Paradise or something like that.
That's one of our favorite things, is to come for concerts.
That's cool. So, if you want to do that, you have so much more choice now than you did.
You did, that's true.
I still think, I'm not just defending my city, I still think there's more great things to do in Vegas now than there ever was.
Yeah.
I just don't like the gouge. I just don't like what they're doing, trying to, the table minimum's up so high.
Yeah.
That's why you like a place like downtown Grand. It has dollar blackjack. They really do have dollar.
Is it 3-2 blackjack?
It's not 3 to 2. It's 6. Right. It's a 6 to 5 game.
Yeah, but still, it's a dollar.
And for the dollar, it's even money on blackjack.
Wow. Okay.
But when you do, when you actually work it out, if you're going to literally play a constant dollar, your expected loss over an hour, because those tables are always full, is $1.20. That's it. So all you get is one free drink and you're there.
Yeah.
Now, once you're over $5, then they start, paying you at least a 6 to 5 bonus. It's not 3 to 2.
Okay.
So, you got to give a little to get a little, but It's nice to be able to find a table. You find the odd $5 table around in certain places, but mostly now it's $15 and up.
At least.
And that's tough. That's tough on people.
Tough. Yeah.
I hate seeing that.
And on the Strip, it's going to be 25 and up.
Yeah. The Strip's even worse.
Yeah.
I hate the Strip. I rarely go there. I go there if there's something happening that I want to do or need to see.
Yeah.
But I don't find any reason to have to do that, to go to the Strip. I spend my time downtown and, places like Ellis Island, places like, even in Henderson. There's some great places there.
We've never been there either.
It's just great. There's a couple of places that are in the member rewards book.
Okay.
That are fantastic. Rainbow Club, is one of them.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's very good. And the other one's Emerald Island. I'm sitting here stalling because I'm like, what's the name of the other casino there? You want bargains? You want a great coffee shop? You want penny slots that really are a penny video poker with good schedules? That's where you go.
So where would you stay down there?
Well, they're opening places now all over the place. So Henderson is really Water Street in Henderson.
Okay.
They've just opened like some new like budget hotels and things like that.
Okay.
So it's not these aren't the big casinos with rooms that you stay in. But there's plenty of places, or you don't have to stay there. You can stay. It's close enough that you can stay somewhere on Boulder Highway, and then it's 4 miles,
or even
5
stay
miles.
downtown and just go over for the day.
It's not that far away.
Yeah, everything really is pretty close in Vegas, I think.
Right.
So you mentioned steaks. So my husband loves steaks. Mike loves steaks. Where do you think you get the best steak in Vegas, on the Strip and off the Strip?
I went to Aria to Jean Georges.
Okay.
And Jean Georges had perhaps the best steak I've ever had in a steakhouse. So that was great. It was, who knows, $70, $80.
Right.
So expensive.
You're going to pay that, right?
I mean, just this week, I went to a place off the Strip called Japanero.
Japanero.
And they do the steaks there. They cut the steaks for you, whether you're having a filet or a New York steak or whatever. But they're like, and they give you a bunch of like dipping sauces and things to put on it. And they're done in a sort of with an Oriental flair. But it's they're steaks, and they're in the 30s.
Wow.
Japanero.
And where is that?
It's on the west side on Warm Springs Road.
Okay.
It's a terrific place. I mean, the best steak deal, without question, like I said earlier, Ellis Island in the cafe there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great steak dinners in the local bars, believe it or not. There's a place called Jackson's on Flamingo that they do a ribeye. We have a deal for it where if you play $200 through, you don't have to lose the 200, just play 200, which goes real fast.
Yeah.
If you're playing quarters, you get through that in a minute, and you get that ribeye dinner comped.
Wow. Okay.
And it's fantastic. I mean, your expected loss on the 200 is somewhere in the area of about $9. So it's really in mathematical value. You're paying $9 for this fantastic ribeye steak dinner. So there's places like that. You got places downtown. I guess you would say like at the Plaza. Oscar Goodman's place down there, Oscar's. The place by the Downtown Grand, Triple George, very good steaks. You get steakhouses galore around here.
Yeah, so we'll have to check them out because Mike, every time we come to Vegas or we travel anywhere, we have to go have a good steak. And I'm not a big steak eater, but to date, his favorite that he wants to go back to is Babette's at New York. Right? He loves their steak.
Babette's is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've eaten there. I've eaten at most of them.
Yeah, I bet you have.
Yeah, but this John George was, I don't know what it was about it, but it was something.
It's just different. Yeah.
It was just amazing.
We'll have to check that out. And let's talk about people think that it's so expensive to come to Vegas, and it can be, but if you use the coupon book, you use some of these off-strip methods, and you can come visit the Strip. You don't have to stay on the Strip necessarily.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or if you're a Caesars or an MGM player, take advantage and get those great rooms and stay on the Strip. But there's some great ways to see things and do things that don't cost a lot of money to see. I mean, we haven't seen. I told Mike we need to challenge ourselves every time we come to Vegas to see one new thing because we come all the time, but we don't see things. So give us some highlights of some don't miss things around Vegas.
Well,
free and minimal charge.
Yeah, I mean, obviously just walking around. The conservatory at Bellagio.
It's always a bit must.
It's great. The conservatory is great, and it's completely, and botanical gardens, I guess, is completely free. And then right around the corner, you've got the chocolate patisserie, where you got the chocolate rolling off the thing, which is just something. Again, another kind of a cool thing to see.
Which is in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
I didn't know that.
It is. It's the largest chocolate fountain.
Yeah. Well, I like some of the shows, like downtown at the Plaza. You can see the Misbehave, it's called down there. And it's a burlesque show. Okay. So it's for adults. But it's
a Vegas show.
Really well priced. Okay. Or Jen Kramer down at Westgate. These are shows that, especially, we have coupons for both of them, BOGOs. Okay. So you're going to see a husband and wife can go see this for like $45 total. Wow. And they're both good. They're both top of the line shows.
Nice.
So, there's that kind of stuff. If you want to travel a little bit, there's like nothing like Red Rock. Like if you drive up, just get on Charleston and just keep going until you hit the Red Rock Loop and drive that loop. It's absolutely beautiful. And they're now charging, I think it's like $3 a car or something.
We rented a side-by-side Polaris.
Okay.
We have a video on it and took it and rode through the Red Rock, and it was amazing.
Yeah, people always say go with the
It was like $99 for the side-by-side, and it was so much fun.
And cool. We used to ride that loop on a bike, a regular bike. Wow. And back when I was here and playing rugby, when I was younger, we train that way. We ride our bikes, all around. We drive up and ride the bikes up and down the loop. But people go, go to the Valley of Fire. Well, the Valley of Fire is pretty amazing as well, but it's 90 miles away.
Yeah.
This is 9 miles away, or,
Right.
Actually more like 17. But if you have time and you've got wheels, you'd want to check out the Valley of Fire.
Okay.
And again, there's so many new things. Like they just opened up the Formula One pit building, right? Which they call, I'm not sure what they call it. They just opened that up, and supposedly it's like this high-tech arcade and like a go-kart track, and there's all this different stuff that you can do. That's one of the things we're going to start working on, is finding these things where we can get discounts for people to give it a try for less. Yeah. And we have several of them in there right now. Like at the Motor Speedway, you can go there and literally drive on the Speedway.
Wow,
with one of these big cars. We have
that'd be cool.
Well, here's one for your readers. I hope they're not too puritanical. We've got one in here called there's something called Love Cloud, and Love Cloud is an airplane that you and your significant other, they take you a mile high. And we got
only in Vegas, right? Only in Vegas.
Right. So there's some interesting things to do.
Okay, I'm going to challenge ourselves to try to get this coupon book. We'll join. I have one of those that have never joined. I mean, I don't know why. I just haven't ever done it. But we're going to do that today, and we're going to try to take advantage of all the coupons in this book. We'll report on them on the channel. And the Love Cloud's going to be one. He's like, all right, we can do that. Just don't make me jump out.
If you say so.
Just don't make me jump out, he says. And there's so many things, like the whole Arts District downtown now. That's a big and up-and-coming area.
Yeah, the Arts District.
Well.
Yeah.
It's hard to find, though. We tried to find it, and it's not real distinctly marked.
It's right. It's not defined.
Right.
But I'll tell you what. You know where downtown is.
Yes.
And all you need to do is go a little bit west of downtown, all right? So you're not all the way to the freeway, and then just come up one of those streets, and you run right into the Arts District.
Okay.
And it doesn't say Arts District.
No.
But all of a sudden you'll look and you'll see all these, not souvenir shops, so what do you call them?
Art gallery kind of things.
Gallery type things. Yeah. And
food is good down there, I've heard.
Food is fabulous. They've got all kinds of bars down there now. And, these thrift shops.
Yeah. Okay.
Thrift shops galore. And you'll know you're there.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's some good places down there. And we are, again, that's something, when you're a member of LEA, anytime we eat in one of these places, like there's one called Main Street Provisions. Now, who would think Main Street Provisions
would be anything?
I don't know. Is that something good? We had a great meal there. It was unbelievable. So we write it up. We do a blog on it. We got all the photos. They had one of the best, some kind of crazy ice cream dessert. That was just awesome. And we, regularly go down there. There's a place on Wednesdays, it's called Palette. They have dollar oysters. If you're a person who likes to eat oysters on the half shell. On Wednesdays, dollar oysters, unlimited. It's a great place. And, we seek out places like that.
And you write about that
in your
newsletter.
We write about it.
Yeah.
We link to blogs on it. The newsletter basically comes out and says, here's what we wrote about this month. We link to it. Boom, 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 boom. So if you miss it, you go right to it. But that stuff's not free on our. It's free to our members.
Right.
It used to be free like other websites to everybody, and we finally said phooey on it. We're doing such good work here, so you can become what we call a diamond member for $3, for $3. Now you don't get the coupon package, $3 a month.
Wow.
But you get all of that stuff. And to me, I said this at Zorgfest where we met. Mm-hmm. That's the great hack. And if you're going to come to Vegas, you just, for 1 month, for $3, you become an LVA member, and everything we have is there for you to see, including the archives, what's happening now. You can plan your trip. The only thing you don't get is this. And if you want to upgrade because there's value in that for you, then you do that.
Right. Yeah. I'm telling y'all, it's the best value. It's the best hidden gem. And I don't know that it's hidden if you've got 15,000 members, but it is hidden because people like even us weren't taking advantage of it. So there's so much value, not just in the coupon book, but the knowledge. There's a lot of YouTubers, a lot of bloggers. We're doing the best we can, but you've just been here and you've done it, and it's a whole nother perspective on it.
Yeah, I look at I look at a lot of the YouTube stuff, and there's a lot of people doing things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of BS. There's just a lot of things that aren't that valuable that they talk about. They're slick, and they look good, but I don't think they give hard facts and value.
Yeah.
Like things we're talking about right here, which
Right.
I think are just more important. I just think content is more important than the way things are necessarily presented.
That's why this interview is so important to
good.
me, because we try to keep it real. We really do, and teach people, how to do it right and to have fun and to save money. And we do that with not just casinos and perks that way, but even credit cards and how to work our credit cards and our perks, because there's a lot of value. We never pay for airline tickets just by using
That's so smart.
airline points.
See, you do it on that level, and there's all these different levels.
Yes.
Like what are the two biggest expenses of any trip? It's the transportation, especially if it's airfare, and then there's the lodging.
Yes.
Right? So you're dealing with the transportation and the lodging part, which are very
That's
important.
right.
Then all of these other, we deal with those two areas a little bit, but not on a points and miles basis so much.
Yeah.
Ours is more, okay, you guys do that, you figure that way out. Once you're here, we'll
This
show you
is
some real
what
cool
you can
things to do
Yeah.
and ways to save money on that part of your trip.
Yeah, if you put the two together, you really can save some money. We're doing an around the world trip.
Oh, boy.
Literally around the world, across the Atlantic, across the Pacific. We'll be gone for 2 months.
Wow.
12 stops all around the world. A $50,000 value we're paying with points.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And then we're going to get we're working on our points to get our lodging, because like you said, it's the airfare and the lodging.
Yeah, those are the two big ones.
Yeah,
but,
it's
well, see, that's impressive,
Yeah,
what you're
it's
saying.
cool.
And if
Yeah.
you're following the kind of advice that you give, people can get here and stay here relatively
That's right.
much more cheaply.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, you got X amount to do with what you want.
So we started this way back when we were super poor and had 5 kids and couldn't travel. So the only way we really could travel, we learned how to lose a little bit only at the casino, but get our room, get our food, and all the things comped, and we'd have a great time.
No wonder.
And listening to y'all and to Jean back in the day, and that's how we learned to do it.
Well, I was going to say, no wonder you're a follower of Jean Scott,
Yeah,
because
I love her.
that was her thing.
It was her thing, and I
Yeah.
read every book that she has, and knew about y'all because of that. And so when I say y'all are our heroes, and truly I've grown up learning the way, through y'all. I really have, and that's why this interview is so important. Okay, I don't want to get off topic. So to our audience that loves table games, we can't film table games very often, so nobody hardly lets you film table games. We're not experts on table games, but we have a lot of people that do. So can you earn status and comps by playing blackjack or table games? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to get rated. And that's the main thing. If you are a player who, again, all of this is on levels. If you're playing at the absolute minimum,
At the dollar table, you're not going to get it.
Right. And, or you're, even at the $15 tables these days, and you're playing for an hour, it's not going to do a hell of a lot for you, but you still should be rated. And all you do is you tell the boss or, anybody who's in the pit, you just give them your card. And they'll know. You can say, I want to be rated, but they know what you're doing.
Right. You don't have to say, I need to be rated.
Yeah, here's your card. And they'll start, they'll put you on the clock. And there's ways to kind of mess around with that system
Read
a
the
little
books.
bit.
So
Yeah,
I know
Comp
Jean
City.
tell them which book to read and talk about that.
Well, Jean Scott's Frugal Gambler talks a lot about that in her latest Frugal Gambler Casino Guide. But the book is Comp City.
Okay.
And, that was written a long time ago. But I just talked to the author a few days ago, Max Rubin. And I said, how much of Comp City is still valid? He goes, well, some things are not so much, but he goes, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
And you show them in the beginning, all of this is their first impressions. So you bet higher off the top. And they mark you down for a certain average. So let's say you intend to play $15 and $20, but you come out swinging with 30 and 50, and all of a sudden you're getting, and then you're back down to 15 and whatever, but you're getting rated for 50, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there are things you can do.
Read the books. It really helps.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I used to come to Vegas. I never played slots. They were like taboo, and they still should be. I should still get off the slots because they kicked my butt. At least with blackjack, there's some strategy there. I need to really get back to playing blackjack. I really do. Maybe we'll do that tonight. But I used to come with $400 was my daily budget. And this wasn't this long ago, 15 years ago, $400. But it's all about talking to that pit boss and getting to know them and where they like you, and you have fun, and you make the table fun, you make the ambiance fun, and you get rated higher.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do.
It's the whole honey versus vinegar thing.
It is.
I mean, it really is. That if you make them like you and all, they're going to reward you on that rating slip. Now,
Yeah.
here's another thing. People don't realize how important this is. You're playing, when you're gambling, you're almost always, unless you're a real expert and you seek out great games and you find them and apply, an advanced knowledge of how to play, you're going to be playing at negative expectation, meaning you're going to expect to lose. So the fewer hands you play, the less you'll lose. All right, so you're taking that to the nth degree, don't play at all. And you're playing 0 hands, so you lose nothing.
Nothing.
Right? But when you start to think, don't sit down at a blackjack table by yourself or with 2 people or 1 or 2 people. Try to squeeze into a full table. Because, first of all, it's more social and all of that. But second, your hands per hour go way, way down. And so, every time that you make a bet,
That's a good point.
that house edge is working on you.
Yeah.
So you would like to lessen that. You don't want to play 100 hands an hour. You want to play 35 hands
There
an
you
hour.
go. That's a great point.
And you're losing 1/3 the amount of money because it's inexorable, man. The math, it's happening. It's inexorable. It's going to happen to you. So make it happen slower. And you're still going to be rated, not for your number of hands, but for your hours of play. So you want to play at busy tables.
I think we need to do a whole video on blackjack at some point because I have so many questions about it. I'm going to be selfish here and ask 2 questions on blackjack, then we'll move on. My first question is, and I don't know how to explain this to people, but some people are intimidated by going up to a blackjack table because blackjack table players can be pretty serious. And I try to explain to people, yes, you're playing just you and the dealer, but you're really, how you play affects everybody at the table. It does.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Mathematically,
Okay.
mathematically, it doesn't.
Okay.
How another person plays does not affect your long-term result. If you're playing with the greatest player in the world or the worst player in the world, they will do something wrong that helps you as often as it hurts you.
Okay.
That's been proven through studies. But to your point, everybody thinks it matters.
They do, man.
So they will get on your case.
I mean, I've seen people almost come to blows.
You can't believe what I went through when I was playing professionally. I mean, I would make a play. I'd be counting, with a very high level count, and I'd be making a very high level play that didn't look right, like maybe splitting tens.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
anything
that.
like that. And I would get yelled at and screamed at. Now, what can I do? Can I go, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. This is the count is this, and this is the proper play. You just have to go, sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. But the reality is that it doesn't matter what the other players do.
But some players are going to get mad.
Yeah, it will matter on that hand. You'll see a result. But long term, no. Everybody has selective memory. They remember the time you took the dealer's buzz card, but they don't remember the time that you took the dealer's 5.
Right. Okay.
Right?
That's a good point. That's
true.
a good point. Okay. Betting strategy. This is the selfish question. Betting strategy. So if I'm betting and I win, what's my strategy for increasing or decreasing my bet?
If you're not counting cards,
I don't count.
there is
cards
no
yet.
strategy.
Okay.
It's harem scarum.
Okay.
And I mean, there's nothing, everybody says, okay, yeah, I'm going to bet that. And if I win, I'm going to bet that. And if I win, I'm going to bet that. And I mean, it doesn't really matter. The house edge is going to work on whatever you put out there. People go, well, there's streaks and there's this and that. Well, sure, there's streaks in the rearview mirror. You can look back. There's no way. And I know pros. I got a poker pro friend who says, no, there's streaks. There's absolutely streaks. And he's a pro. He's a great player. He makes a living playing. And he believes this, and it's not true. I mean, mathematically speaking, scientifically, it's not true that you can identify when things are going your way. All right, so
because we've tried that too in our bedroom. We read the book, and then we sit there and we try to bet. Then we go to the casino, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, the only reason to raise your bet with a real reason is that that the odds have changed, that the makeup of
if you're counting the cards.
the makeup of the deck has changed because you've been counting and you know that. Otherwise, you're guessing.
Okay.
So it really doesn't matter. Just do it as you want. I have another friend who is an absolute blackjack expert, and he does use a betting progression, and he knows that it doesn't help him, but he likes doing it. It makes him fun. It's fun for him.
Okay.
So, but he understands. If it's fun for you, do it.
Do it.
But there really is no reason.
To.
Now, if
don't get hung up on that.
Yeah, if you're a skilled player, there are 2 reasons to the other question. That goes along with that is when do I stop?
Yeah.
Do I stop when I head? Do I stop when I'm behind? And my answer is, I stop when the game is no longer good, meaning I can no longer get an edge at that game because maybe they're not dealing as far down into the deck because they start to suspect me as a player. So one of the ways they stop you is they don't deal out, because the farther they deal into the deck, the more opportunity you have.
Oh, okay.
So either the game deteriorates or I get tired. That's when I stop.
That's when you stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as, whether I'm winning a lot or losing a lot, if nothing's changed, I keep playing.
Keep playing.
Yeah. I mean, I said, well, when I did play. And now these days when I do other things like video poker or playing in some sort of promotion that I'm allowed to do.
Right. Where are some good video poker machines? We do a lot of, we've been talking a lot about video poker because Gene Scott promotes that, but it is a way to get comps and to play a long time. And it's easy to practice and to learn and to have tools with you. So where are some good places to play some good video poker on and off the strip?
Yeah, it changes a lot. We have a list on LasVegasAdvisor.com for members. It's called Best Video Poker, which tells you where the best games are.
Right.
Right. But I mean, as we're speaking, like one of the most recent.
But they change, like you said.
They change. So that's why you need something like that. And
what's the book called?
Oh, no, that's on our website.
Oh, the website. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Best Video Poker.
Oh.
And that's a feed from a video poker site called VP Free.
Okay.
And they give us this feed, which tells us, because they monitor this stuff. But if we're just talking about places, off the top of my head right now, the Rio. Just recently, we just talked about the Rio doing things to try to get better. They had crappy video poker, and they realized that they need to draw local players. Local players are more discerning when it comes to the video poker schedules. So they put in what's known by a lot of people, 9-6 jacks or better, is a 99.54% return. So if you know how to play that game properly, you're giving the casino less than 0.5%, 50 cents for every $100 you bet, which is a really good game.
Good game.
You get one beer and you make up for that.
Yeah.
Right? One free drink. So they've put this 9-6 video poker all over the casino floor and at the bars and everything. So the Rio is a real good one that just recently changed. Four Queens downtown, always good video poker. It always pains me to say this because some of the casinos don't like us and don't work with us, and one of them being South Point, which is terrible because South Point's a really good casino. So I hate to promote them, but they do have good video poker.
It's interesting because as a YouTuber, I feel the same way. There's some like us and some hate us, and it's kind of the thing. Caesars will not let us film here for nothing, which they're missing such an opportunity.
It's crazy.
But MGM is and El Cortez and Ellis Island and some of those are so friendly, and they're missing out. Okay, so as I've said, you worked with some legends in this space, especially Gene Scott. That's my favorite, Queen of Comps. Gotta always love her. But what's it like working with her? And can you share with our viewers her approach and Las Vegas advisor mindset?
Well, working with her has always been a pleasure, because she's every bit as nice as she comes off.
She is.
You know what? She doesn't just put up a facade. Bob Dancer also is a nice guy, but he's more buttoned down and prickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, if Bob Dancer if he's not interested in what you're doing, he might not, you don't have something interesting for him, he might not be interested in you.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. He's just all business.
Yeah.
And Jean is always just about her fans. People and her fans, right? She really appreciates that.
I think that's the teacher background, do you think?
Yeah, because she was a teacher for years.
Yeah.
She was an English teacher. And so working with both of them, and they're competitors.
Yeah.
They both want to be top of the heap, and they're both really good in their respective areas. Working with people like them is always enlightening. You learn things because we start out. They're maybe learning or coming up through watching through reading the LVA, Las Vegas Advisor, and things like that. But then the pupil surpasses the teacher. They get to the point where they know more about it than I do.
That.
Yeah, and I have to go to them to get answers. I go, okay, I just had an interesting scenario. What do you think about this? And they know better because they're down there, feet on the ground, boots on the ground, right? So both of them are very, and Jean in particular, very much the LVA way, the mindset. And so we've always gotten along because we all agree with one another that this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, her books are great. You know, a lot of people say, what is the best book?
That was my next question, is talking about Huntington Press and some of the better books.
Well, when you
must reads.
Yeah, we were talking about video poker, and the answer, I always tell people who want to start, I tell them to read one of each. Bob Dancer, I would read $1 Million Video Poker, because $1 Million Video Poker has the mindset, sets the mindset of what it takes to be a video poker winner, right? But when you want to talk about the nuts and bolts, I would read Frugal Video Poker, Gene Scott's book.
Yeah.
And I think for a video poker beginner, that is the place to start. And then later you'll read Dancer's Video Poker for the Intelligent Beginner, which gets, it's a level above, but you don't want to start there really. So, you know, I would say Gene Scott's. When we're talking about mindset right now, you know, we have a book, I don't know when this is going to drop, but when we're shooting this right now, we have a book that's coming in tomorrow called Advantage Players.
Oh, wow.
And it's the first book ever done. You know, the word for a person who does make money from casinos consistently as a pro or as somebody who does it as a part-time hobby but still makes money, they call them APs, for Advantage Player. So this book is called Advantage Players. And it's written by Michael Kaplan, who writes for the New York Post and various big-time magazines. And it's about some of the most successful gamblers of all time. And it's really a deep dive into their mindset, you know, a deep dive into how do they think, what do they do. It's not just stories.
Right.
Although there's a lot of good stories in there. So that's coming out tomorrow. I haven't even seen it myself yet. It hasn't been delivered.
We may have to come back.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Get a copy of it before we leave.
For sure.
Yeah. So I just want to give another shout out to Gene Scott, because I really want y'all to know, I don't think we would have Destination Jackpot had I not found Gene Scott and Her Way and Las Vegas Advisor.
That's so cool.
I know I keep saying that. I'm so happy to be here because of that. But so we talked about the books that you published. So you've been a part of some legendary Vegas moments. Do you have a favorite story, memory, fun, wild, or just something totally Vegas that you'd like to share? I know you've got good stories.
Well, there's some I can't say, but you know, I mean,
not on video anyway, right?
Yeah, it is crazy Vegas, right? And yeah, after being here all this time, I have had my share of some of those runarounds. To me, the thing that always stands out is the opening night of the Mirage. We talked about the Mirage earlier. And so like I was kind of here because I was here, I got here in 79, as I said, that was old Vegas.
That's where we stayed the first time we came to Vegas 26 years ago.
The Mirage?
Yep.
Well, that was, that was old Vegas. That was, before that. That was Mob Vegas.
2 years ago.
Yeah, that was Mob Vegas. That was, where everybody goes, it was better when the mob ran it. No, it wasn't. But, the head is good and after head is good. But Steve Wynn flipped the switch on the new Vegas. Mm-hmm. And that was the night the Mirage opened, in November or something in 1989. And that night, I went there. I wanted to be there on opening night. And walking through that place, first day it was open, was something that I've almost never forgotten. I just said everything's going to change. Because I was walking through that atrium, and I saw a guy in a tuxedo and a guy in a muscle shirt walking side by side. They weren't together. They were both with their girls or wives or whatever. But there was this end and this end. And they were all there, and I go, there's something for everybody under this roof. And that's was the change of Vegas. That's when it all began. So that's the story I remember the most, really. Now I could bring up a bunch of things. When I was gambling, some big tournaments I won and things like that were really great. Like I won. There was a tournament called Match Play Blackjack, which it was the only tournament ever devised where everybody played the same hand. So consequently, it took a lot of the luck out of it, and it was given the reputation or the title of being the most skill-oriented blackjack tournament ever created, and I won it.
Wow!
So winning that
on that
night. But here's this story that goes with it. The prize was, I believe, it was $76,000. They paid me in cash. It was 1-on-1. You got down to 32 players, and then we played heads up. Right, it was heads up from there, and it got down to 1-on-1 in the championship. And I was playing with Stanford Wong, and Wong had developed a great computer program. And using Wong's information, I destroyed this guy 1-on-1. And I had been trying to go out with this cocktail waitress forever. She worked at the Lady Luck. This was before cell phones. I called her on a rural phone, and I said, I'm playing in the finals. This is before that final. I'm playing in the finals for $76,000 at the Hilton. I said, do you want to come down and watch? And she did. Because you might not know this, but cocktail waitresses then and now like money.
Yes.
So I told her I'm playing for $76,000.
She's like, I'm coming.
She came down. So I take this guy apart, and I get the $76,000, and everybody's clapping and everything else, and she's like, her eyes are this big, right? And she goes, well, let's go get a drink. We'll go get a victory drink, and all of that. And I got this money sitting right here, and Wong walks up with a paper bag and takes all the money and puts it in the bag. He goes, you played really good, and he walks away. And the girl looked at me. She goes, what just happened? What just happened? So I had to come clean. I had to go, well, my share of that was only about $3 or $4 grand. I go, that's mostly his money. I'm just a soldier, I'm just a soldier.
And did she go out with you after that?
Yeah, it turned out all right.
It turned out good. That's good. That's good. Well, anything else you want to point out before we wrap it up?
No, only that I think it's important, again, this is self-serving for me, because what do? We create information. But I mean, your trip is going to be better anywhere you go if you've studied up on it. Yeah. And more so in Vegas than anywhere else, because there's so many choices and so many different things to do that you got to do some study. I mean, back up, protect your investment in your trip by doing some study before you come out.
And there's so many different things depending on your goals. And that's really what we're trying to teach here at Destination Jackpot, and the value that we're trying to bring you is depending on what your goals are, giving you the tools to figure out how to make your money work the best for you.
Yeah.
So this has been absolutely action-packed gold, and I can't thank you enough, Anthony.
Well, much fun. Thanks for inviting me.
So much fun. And just to get to come here to this building is really iconic for me. So
well, you're shooting on our table.
I
This
am.
Is where we
I know.
shoot
and I didn't
YouTube.
even play a
hand of blackjack,
right? With you. That's right.
I didn't bring any cards.
We're going to have to do that next time.
Yeah.
There will be a next time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this from the where to eat and how to gamble and how to play some blackjack. Let us know what other questions you have for Anthony. Maybe we can. It took me a year to get this interview, but maybe we can get another interview.
Not quite a year, was it?
It was, because I started a year before Zorkfest. I had contacted you.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know.
Shame on me.
I think it got missed. Anyway, whatever. I worked hard for this interview, and I didn't let up. So perseverance really paid off, and because it was worth it to me.
I kept telling her
that much.
I kept saying no, not because I didn't want to, but because we couldn't.
So busy.
We just couldn't fit it into schedule with books and things.
That's right.
But you just kept dogging it, and I said, get on over here. We're going to do it.
She's not going to leave me alone, so I'm going to do this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out the books that he recommended. I want to ask you a question. We promote videopoker.com to practice video poker.
Yeah, good.
And I think that's a really good program. There's a link. You'll get a discount with our code. You don't get a discount, but there's a link in our bio for that. So I do that, and then they also have one that you can check your hand.
Yes, it's good.
And you can do that.
Is that the red light, green light thing?
It's the red light, green light, yes.
It's really good. I should give that more attention in things that I do, because there aren't a lot of good trainers. Trainers are good. The guy who owns it is Ernie Moody.
Yeah.
And Ernie is a mini chapter in that book, Advantage Players.
Okay.
There's that chapter about Ernie and picture of his jet.
They've been an absolute pleasure to work with.
You work with Mike Fields there?
Yeah, with them trying to get all of our stuff set up and figure out how to, because we can do that on the live at home. Mm-hmm. I can show, and so we're learning some of that, because I do think it helps our players. So
yeah, I've known Mike Fields over there for a long time.
Okay. I think I'm working with Greg.
Greg, okay, yeah, I know Greg.
Greg, that's who I'm working with.
Well, Mike's the other guy. His son was Olympic gold medalist in BMX.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his son and my son used to play. His son
cool.
became an Olympic gold medalist.
That's cool. So tell us, where can people subscribe, follow you, listen to your podcast? And we've already told you how to get the book, but tell them.
Okay, LasVegasAdvisor.com online. That's where you want to go.
Okay.
We don't just, it's a lot of that stuff is paywalled there. Like I said, it's $3 a month to do it, or you can do it once and stop and, see everything you need. But there's a lot of stuff there that's not paywalled. Okay. And one of them is a link to the YouTube thing that we do once a week. I mean, we do something called Beer Friday, usually the third Friday of the month, where we sit here and drink and talk. And I mean, but we do. We literally, and now people are bringing us beer all the time. They're always showing up at the office. Here's a 6-pack. Here's a 12-pack.
What's your favorite?
I usually drink Heineken.
Heineken, okay.
Yeah, so,
okay.
we do that. But we have something called Jackpots, where we only show jackpots that people send in to us.
Oh,
the jackpot
fun.
show is great because you see some wild things that have happened. Then we do an update. Then we do a thing with a guest every month. So just go to LasVegasAdvisor.com. You'll see the things that are free. Some blogs are free, various stuff. And you'll see the things, decide if you want to go the $3 or the $50. But that's it. That's the best thing. And then, probably watching, the best way to get our information for free is to watch our YouTube channel because it is free.
It is free.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you again, Anthony, for letting us interview you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're helping you find free flights, dream destinations with real strategies. That's our goal here at Destination Jackpot. And remember, we help you turn spins into suites, perks into planes, and credit into cash. Drop your favorite Vegas tip into the comments below, or any questions that you have for Anthony. And we'll see you next time, maybe even in Vegas.
Anywhere to find you.